Well, g'day everybody and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show. This podcast is proudly brought to you by the Mazda BT50. You do ute. This week on the show, we're doing things a little bit differently. We were going to get into the over and unders revisited, but Rhino's had a bit of a conflict today, so he's going later in the week. We're going to start us off with 6 points. 2-minute warning will be on the Thursday with the over-under recap. But today we're going to just hit it off with 6 points. So don't be confused. Stick with us. It's going to be okay. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do that. Leave a rating, leave a review, and tell your mates. All right, get stuck in. This is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Nick Rynne, joined by Xavier, Ellis, and Jackson Barrett today. How are we going, gentlemen?
Rynne, good to be back. It's been a little while.
Well, it's great. It's just Rhino's inserted himself in the narrative, so he couldn't be here today. Yeah. So I'm just too busy today. I've got to do a piece to camera. I can't be there. I just can't come.
It's on the early flag as well, like the preempt. I'm busy man.
I know.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, Simo happening tomorrow. I was like, well, just wait and see. It happened last night.
It happened a minute after I text. Mate. Yeah, sleepy.
Yeah, what are you doing today, Sandra Sully?
That's what I thought. And what is he possibly doing today?
I don't know. Was he just camped out the front of Lathlane? What's he? I don't know. I know he had to do.
Well, he was in the office this morning, so he has made it out of bed.
He's gone for a run or something.
Yeah, he's probably just gone for a run.
You know he's running a lot?
Sitting in his dressing room.
He does it in the mornings.
He's up to like 26 Ks.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, it does.
Can't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, well done to him. Because it's easier when you have your own secret private shower downstairs.
Oh, that is a bit weird.
I think I got a masseuse come through as well, just iron out the kinks.
Is that a bit old school, the old like green room and stuff?
It's a little bit old school. Yeah,
is it a bit old school?
It's a bit how you do. Like, get over yourself, Ryan.
Yeah, beautiful.
Righto, so there's a bit going on, so we might as well get straight into it. Well, Zave, if you want to leave us off, obviously the big one is the Simo.
Yeah, let's just go with Adam Simpson. Now, firstly, were you surprised that West Coast re-signed? Not re-signed, just
retained.
Just kept going, yeah. Simo.
Yeah, I was. I do feel like that the wind's probably shifted in the last 2 or 3 days. So, But if you asked me a week ago, I wouldn't have thought that would be the result.
I was about 40. I kept thinking the whole way along, like, there's a very good chance that they don't do much at the end of the year. Like, they're very conservative decision makers and have been for a long time, and they back themselves in. And I don't know, I don't think that's necessarily the right approach long term. But I thought this might have been a possibility, and it's happened.
Is it 4 coaches since 1990, and one of them was Ken Judge for 2 years?
Yeah,
it would be. Yeah.
So
that's
be. Yeah.
My thoughts were a couple. I think I said a few weeks ago it's going to be hard to hold on, but then when you broke it down, the actual math of it all, so they owed $2 million.
Yep.
It becomes $4 million.
Yep.
Then you got to sack.
Fold in the new salary. That's doubled as well.
Yeah, so that's what you're not going to go out and get a $300,000 senior coach.
Yeah.
Would you say it's $500 minimum?
I would say so.
So there's $1 million. So that's $5 million we're at.
I would say so, particularly for West Coast, because that's that they want that to be a lucrative position.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they're moving on the assistant coaches. So they're bringing in your own assistant coaches. This is what they do. The coaches that come in, and say you're a coach, Jacko, at Collingwood. So Hayden Skipworth's got the job from Collingwood.
Yep.
And he turns around to his Collingwood assistant and says, mate, I'd love you to come to Western Australia with me. Would you think about it? Yeah, I would. What are you earning now? Oh, I'm on $225,000 at Collingwood. Well, he's not coming to Western Australia, moving his life for anything less than $300. So then in goes, and like, you're probably paying the current assistants $200. Well, they're not coming for anything less than $300.
Yep.
So again, the money would have just been, would have got up to around, at a guess, like $6 million or something, would have it?
Yeah, and they could cop it, but it's still a lot to send out. It's bad business. But it's also that's the constant flux between footy clubs, right? What's business and what's footy? Like, what are we here for?
I would have thought too, it would have been the softest board in the world if they sacked him yesterday after 500-point losses to not make a decision.
Yeah, to wait till the end of the year.
So then go, see ya. Like, that's just soft. And West Coast don't sack in the middle of the year. Who gives a shit? Just if you wanted to do it, do it. Like that's what I thought. I thought, they're pretty steadfast. Like JL's a strong-minded person,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
he?
Yeah, you reckon?
And a supporter of Simo. So that wasn't going to happen easily.
There's one vote you're not going to get.
From what you gather. And I'm glad they didn't, because then it shows that the board stood for something. Like they said the whole way along, he's our coach, he's our coach, he's our coach. It would have been weak as piss if then on the Monday
They
go,
change
see
their
ya.
mind. Yeah. I think, but what has to happen is they have to come out and tell their members and everybody else they've got a plan. So
Yeah.
whether that's we are bringing in a full-time list manager.
Would you say 10 new people?
That 10's a big number. I would say
No,
you want
no,
five.
when you go assistant coaches,
So the
and-
assistant coaches are so one.
I think 3 have been announced, but I don't want to go with it just in case I'm not bang on. But then you go, would you think in development 1 or 2?
Yeah, you need more
Then
in
you'd
development.
think
Cofield needs to be replaced as
Cofield
fitness
needs
boss.
to be replaced. List
you need
manager.
a list manager. You probably need to cut like a bit of a revamp of your recruiting staff.
Do you know what is the Sounding Board podcast? You're a listener?
Yeah, yep.
Are you a listener?
Yep.
Have you ever heard of that Gary V bloke?
Yeah.
Anyway, I hadn't heard of him, but
he's very high
I knew who
intensity,
he was when
Yeah.
I saw the videos. He ran one, fell into my algorithm the other day. It was like advice for a business. And he said something like, the first thing if you're running your own business or whatever, don't be afraid to fire someone early. Like
Yeah.
sack them early. And the whole idea was, if you fall in love with the person you've hired and you can't sack them,
Yeah.
then your business is no good. And it's a
Yeah.
little bit like the model at West Coast with the recruiting manager becoming list manager.
Yeah.
You've fallen in love with what you've drafted.
So you can't
And by
sack 'em.
sacking them, you're proving yourself wrong, that you got it wrong.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, let's give it another year to see whether it works.
Yeah. So
That's-
we liked him. So
We liked him then. And then you're biased and
Yeah.
you convince yourself that it's going to turn around. 2 years has passed and it hasn't turned around on 15 of them. Who and his point is,
and there probably is a
should
good
have been
whack of
sacked.
those at West Coast right now on the list who could have gone a lot.
That could have been
earlier.
done 12 months ago, and
Yeah.
now they're scrapping for a new contract. And you go, it was just a good point about you falling in love as a boss with what you've chosen. So I've chosen to employ you,
Yeah.
and I like you, but you're not doing a good job. But I don't want to sack you because I'm wrong. I've made a wrong decision.
Which
So
is a big
it
thing
just
in recruiting.
snowballs. It snowballs and snowballs.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good point, and West Coast need to sort that list. And
Just needed. And again, like my point is, like, why haven't they? It's not like they had to sack someone to create that job. Rowan O'Brien can still be the national recruiting manager, but you just hire a full-time list manager. Like,
yeah, is
I didn't think it was
he
a
a
hard.
full-time list manager now?
No, he's both. He's still both.
Still both.
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm like 90% sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there
But
haven't been any
regardless,
changes announced.
but regardless, you're feeding
Yeah.
the past
But
ego.
you just have to find someone. I have to have found someone by now and be like, we have a plan going into the off season. We have new eyes over stuff.
The big one's the fitness, like we were speaking about it before. So Cofield went halfway through the year. The idea being that like players have exit interviews this week. You have an off-season plan, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got a plan in place
Who's
for
running
pre-season. So that's the one that surely they have to have in place.
Well, at
pretty
least they're
soon.
looking at a head coach now who's going to be there.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
like-
so yeah,
and that's a
it's-
big part of that.
Again, like I don't know who was feeding the beast along the way, but for them to not, they came out pretty like equivocally halfway through the season, and then things eased off a lot. To not, and then it was just weird to then come out and be like, no, he is our man.
Yeah.
That middle ground kills you because he's probably thinking, and some of his commentary, like his answers in press conference, he was probably thinking,
Well, they're honest.
I'm done here.
Yeah.
So he's not thinking for next season, and now he's like, oh, I'm still okay. I am here next year.
Yeah.
Oh shit, okay. This is what you got to do off season.
Who's better? Who's a better coach out there?
At the moment, no, yeah, there's Adam Simpson. He's probably the right person.
Do you know
for
what I mean?
the
Like if
job too.
Clarko was floating around, you'd go, oh,
Yeah.
let's see what we can, but like
Yeah.
premiership coach, played and made another grand final, played in and won too. Like he's been around a lot of success. They're going to be god average next
Yeah.
year as well.
Things
The
need
narrative,
to. Oh yes,
the narrative is going to be really interesting next year because he could go at any time next year or at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like the soft cap, whatever part the soft cap played in this, the way it works is if you're paying him out over 2 years, if you break the cap,
Yep.
the tax is bigger in the second year. So it's actually, in a sense, like fiscally more responsible if they were to move him on at the end of next year. Maybe after another year, part of this rebuild. I mean, some people would argue the rebuild hasn't started yet.
Hasn't
no. Well, then
started.
they said he's
Hasn't.
done the first part of the rebuild. I was like,
It's
well, you
sort of
only
like,
went to
well,
the draft last year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I
1
wonder,
year's not a part.
I wonder if it's one of those situations like a Paul Roos is probably the example that comes to mind where he like guides the first bit and then maybe it's a succession plan, maybe it's not.
Or
but-
it's not, because the example that I refer back to, and their lists are in a vastly different position and different sport, but when Wayne Bennett went back to the Broncos and they were going no good, And then the end of one year, he made the call to clear out his assistants. He said, I need new voices around me. Got all new assistants. We're back in a grand final a year and a half. That's not going to happen here.
No.
But you can get a bit of that renewed vigour, renewed life.
What would you do with Harley
new
Reid?
eyes.
With that pick?
I'd draft him.
I'm still leaning towards splitting.
I'm splitting it in a heartbeat.
Splitting it?
In a
I'm
heartbeat.
taking Harley Reid.
I just think it's volume, right? Like with Tassie coming in and just there's just not it's just the dirt.
and
But what do
that's
you want to
just-
get? Like, what's
You
your
need
cut off?
Curtin. You need Curtin.
Two
pick's
top
he?
tens?
2 top 10. So Curtin's probably 4.
3, 4.
Give me
4 and 8 or whatever you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want a little bit more at the end too.
Yeah.
A
future
4,
or
8 and future second or
or-
something like that. If I was a recruiter and I turned up not knowing anything about West Coast, anyone who had value, I'd be moving on.
At the moment,
Anyone. And unfortunately, like they're the players that have held themselves in good stead. You know,
Yeah.
the 90% that haven't, they're
Like
not
if-
worth anything. But if
I think
someone
that Tom
said,
Barras, they should have been helping him out, like helping him get to Sydney.
well, if Dimmer knocked on your door and said, if we can somehow get you pick 5 and 10 next year or whatever for Oscar Allen, would you consider it? You know, they want to set up Oscar Allen and King for 5 years. Because in 5 years' time, West Coast might not be in the finals still. And Oscar's 31. Like he's
yeah.
down the other side there.
Yeah.
But that's just unfortunately for him. He's the one who's had the massive year and got value. But they're not going to do anything like that. So I think it's going to be a hard couple of years.
So just building on some Fremantle stuff, obviously their year ended with a win over Hawthorn. Interesting stuff from Justin Longmuir afterwards around, and he sort of touched on it during the week as well, around like this is the bulk of the list that's going to win our first premiership, and it comes after Damien Hardwick's slightly bizarre comments around the 80% of the list at the Gold Coast.
I do agree with Dimmer, though, 80%. I mean, if he adds Dusty Martin, Dusty Martin, Errol Goulden and a full forward, then 80% can
Of course,
stay.
yeah. But it depends what the 20% looks like. Right?
correct.
If the 20% is third
Yeah.
rounders, then
Yeah.
that's a different story. What needs to change at Fremantle if this is the bulk of their premiership list? They're 14th at the moment. What needs to change? And they've said again today that they're not going to be aggressive at the trade table. So how do you shift things in terms? What do you find in this group to unlock them
Who's the only player that's got value?
on the trade table?
Who are you actually going to trade that has
Well,
value?
so the
Darcy.
one that Darcy's the one that's been spoken about, and they're not going to do that, are they?
Well, they said today he's adamant that he'll stay.
So I just think that's a handcuff because Jackson, you'd say, had a good finish to the year in the ruck.
Yeah,
Great
but
finish to the year.
I'm still. I like him as a forward, and you can throw him on board or mix things up occasionally. Like I like Darcy as the lead ruck, Jackson as the forward ruck, because they don't have that third. They look best when they have the 3 talls, and without Jackson, they don't have the third one.
Even when it was Brennan Cox on the weekend, they looked better. Like
Yeah.
him being the high forward and engaging Sicily and being an outlet, they looked significantly better.
I've said it before. I don't think they're best players on the list yet to win a flag.
Yeah, I think it might be Hayden Young.
That was who we spoke about. Yeah. And Hayden Young not as a halfbacker. Hayden Young
Hayden Young's
He's
a
been the
midfielder.
big shift.
And it could be. I mean, Sarong could be. He's growing every year.
Yeah,
if
I know
he can
has
add another
massively,
couple
but
of
I just
things.
see every team's got a Caleb Sarong.
True.
Every team's got a gun midfielder.
Yeah.
You go through it from
No,
the
so
top down.
he doesn't have. He's got 5 out of the 6 things. Were just not that extra X factor, or maybe. Or
but
don't know what it is.
But everyone's got one.
Yeah.
But not everyone's got a Petrarca, a Bontempelli, a Dusty Martin.
Yep. Jordan Dawson.
I just don't think he's going to go. It could win. It could win 4 best and fairest at Freo. I just don't think he's going to win. I just
And
think
Norm Smith.
Yeah, I don't know. They're so young. It's hard to be critical of any of it. If they had finished 15th, would they finish 14th? 14th last year. You'd go, they're staying the course with kids.
Yeah.
So maybe last year was the outlier, and they're still building.
Yeah, that's what you think. Like, it's not necessarily. It's another big mid is what they need, but that could be Hayden Young, or it could be Matt Johnson in 2 years' time.
Yeah, no, I'm talking like a Chad Warner type.
Yeah. Okay.
Speed out the front of
They need a bit of
stoppages.
speed through the middle.
Yeah.
Speed is what Young doesn't bring, but the size.
The size is there.
And his midfield craft is still growing because he hasn't done a pre-season as a midfielder yet. He's done barely any work as a midfielder.
What's his speed like? And mate reckons he's slow.
I don't think he's slow, but he's
I
not
don't think
quick.
he's slow, but he's not rapid. He's their best user of the ball.
I agree with that.
Going
I didn't
inside
think he was challenged for pace. I thought he was okay, and we just haven't seen it. But they need speed.
If you think about the guys that he ran, so like Dangerfield's not rapid. Lockie Neal's sharp, but not rapid.
He's a plotter. Not a plotter, like a plotter in the best way that he's just around the footy.
So he hasn't been tested by like someone that's just going to charge off him and burn him the other way or anything.
Yeah.
So maybe it is the thing that he needs.
He might be, but I just think they haven't got that one.
The other thing is
weapon.
starting position though, right? Like once he's a more experienced midfielder, being in a better starting position is going to make up for some of that as well.
They've missed Akers, a random one.
Yeah,
They've missed
100%.
Akers.
And they'll miss Henry.
Middle-aged wingman, or even any
Runs
like
all
wingman.
day.
Yeah.
He was best player for Carlton on the weekend till he did his shoulder.
He's found his feet there over the last month or so.
Yeah.
That's Carlton. I knew that they would have him bringing everyone
We've
back
been
in.
on this, haven't we?
Yeah.
And
Just
we can't
upsets
say
the
anything
apple
nice
cart.
about Carlton. We love Carlton.
We love Carlton.
But I just think too
many cooks.
Too many cooks in there boiling away.
Okay, where are you coming back to me?
Yep.
All right, well, I'll start
Coming
with
back
this
to
one.
You haven't
They
gone
haven't
yet.
gone yet.
Well, yeah, I forget. I was
Stay
around with
with
the
us,
order, mates. What day is it? We're doing the wrong episode on the wrong day. I'm everywhere.
And you're on the gear early.
And we're on the gear early. My
Breakfast.
question is: there's all the MVP awards. There's MVP, Coaches Association, Players MVP. Then you got the little scattered ones like the Herald Sun, etc. And then you got the Brownlow. So which ones do you consider to have the most weight?
By far, the AFL Coaches Association.
Yep.
I think Steve Johnson made the comment on the weekend. I think that's it.
I think you might be. Yeah, I think you might be spot on.
Well,
there.
who has more idea about the way the game's gone, the umpires or the head coaches?
Yeah, it's the head coaches and the players
When do the head coaches vote on it?
on the game day.
No, Monday.
Oh, who hurt us?
Yeah, no, they go in and they've
Is that
already
what it is on Monday? I thought
pretty
you
sure
must just submit at the end of the game.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a Monday they go in.
Okay. So they've even had more time to think about it and review
I'm
it.
pretty sure maybe Monday morning or something like that.
And they would have watched it at least one more time.
in
chopping it up and
a thousand,
voting it.
100%. The Coaches Association, Players Association. I think Jimmy Bartell said yesterday, there's too many players out there that think it's too cool to watch footy. Like, oh, I don't watch it, man. Oh, I'm so chill. Like, shut up. So, like, half of them are voting on players that got no idea, watch one game a week. Brownlow is the Brownlow, always respected, but I don't think it compares
The
to
umpires get it right every time. No,
I'd say Coaches Association.
I feel very similar.
Yeah, I agree.
Who was the last year? Clayton and Took?
Yeah. And
Brayshaw the year before.
Brayshaw was
Brayshaw's
MVP.
players.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other one. Like, surely it has a 5% weighting of the I know your brother weighting.
Well, there's 40 who voted at Melbourne.
Yeah.
If my brother was in the comp, I'd be up there going, boys,
Get him over the
he's
line.
in the top 4.
Yeah.
Can we just nail it, please? But Andy had a good year that year. Remember I backed him for the Brownlow?
Yeah, he had a great year.
50s and was in at like $3 at one stage.
It was still a little bit of a surprise to see him called out, though, as the players MVP.
I can't remember, but I'm sure it probably was.
It wasn't like a fall off your chair, but it was like, oh, that's... I didn't expect it.
Not Clary?
No, you're not Clary, not Took.
So Coaches Association. Now, off the back of the Coaches Association, this morning I went through the votes of the big 4 in the Brownlow. So I used that as an indication where the votes might go. If you got the most votes on the ground, you got a tick. And if you're just in the top 3, I gave you a dash. So it was Bont, Petrarca, Nick Dacos, and Zach Butters. Mm-hmm. And the winner of the 3 who had the most ticks for the most number 1 votes, who do you think it was?
Was it Bond?
Butters.
Zach Butters. And Zach Bont only had like one, and from the top of my head, one top 3er.
Okay.
It was either best or nothing. Whereas Butters had a scattering of little notches, and Petrarca had a scattering of. He had 7 tops from the top, 7 best ons.
Yep.
But then maybe 4 or 5
Second or third best.
second or thirders. So it's going to be interesting how that gets voted on Brownlow night. But Butters was the number 1 out of it all.
So what's the order at the moment? Who's on top of the coaches? Was that
they close it. They close it with 2 rounds to go.
Oh, do they?
So I made up the last
Last couple.
Two, just literally by going, I was at the game on the weekend when Port were in town. Butters to me was best on, was best in the app. Bont on the weekend got second best. So I just went through it and looked at it that way. So the last two were a bit made up from my end, but yeah, it was Butters who got the chocolates.
Yeah, right. I've liked Butters' season. He's very sharp. He's just so sharp.
Is it
Everything
a
he
little
does,
bit
mate.
of the Port Adelaide theory when I backed Wines?
What was
If
that one?
it's not Rosie taking votes, who's taking them?
Yeah, that is good. Very
At
good
Port
point.
Adelaide, like.
Horn Francis every now and then. But
Yeah, it's two games he would have taken him, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
from
we
that.
talk about Horn Francis too much. Way too much.
you don't like.
No, good. Going to be a good player.
Why do you hate Jason Hall-Francis?
I liked him more after watching. He was really impressive in that Freo game. More just like so I think he had 14 touches, but 8 of them clearances or something.
Yeah.
So like he's having not a monster day, but still being super effective.
Very important touches.
Yeah.
I'm getting him up here. All right. As a midfielder, he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games with 16 or less touches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, he's a kid.
No, that's
But yeah,
that's
I know,
what I'm
but
saying.
yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
kid. So why am I talking about him every week?
Because he's the number one pick and he left his club and ice baths.
Who was the number one pick before him?
The number one pick before him was, it wasn't Jamara Ugle-Hagan.
Yeah, it was.
Was that a year before?
Yeah.
So we're
No,
talking about him
Ugle-Hagan.
every week. How'd he go on the
talked
weekend?
we talked about him a lot.
How'd he go?
He went all right.
Who was number one last year?
Number one last year.
Aaron Cadman.
Okay.
Why do you talk about
no,
him
wasn't
every
Matt
week?
Rowell in between? Was Matt Rowell before
Matt
Ugle-Hagan?
Matt Rowell's only 30.
He looks it.
Matt Rowell.
I suppose he was. No, he's only been 4 years in.
Well, Cadman was number one, but
Rao
what?
was before Jamara,
Year before.
I think.
Yeah,
Can someone back me up? Can I get help here?
Matt Rowell's older than Jamara.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
getting it up. I'm getting the order up. Cadman, Horn Francis, Jamara,
Yep.
Matt Rowell. Who
Tell me
was?
the club. I'll tell you the
Well,
name.
no, it's easy. Who was first out of Cam Rayner or Sam Walsh?
Cam Rayner, Brisbane.
Yeah, Rayner was number
Oh,
one, wasn't he?
No. Which year?
Oh, no, Walsh.
so
Walsh
Walsh-
into Rayner.
Walsh, Rayner, McGrath, Wiedering, McCartan, Tom Boyd, Lockie Whitfield. If Tom Boyd was still playing, this would only be his 10th year.
Is that right?
Patton, etc., etc. So that was really boring. I apologise for that.
Bailey Fritsch,
Yeah.
5 goals zip. Melbourne win. Melbourne looked really good. Is he like it completely changed them on the weekend, didn't he? Just having that target, the reliable goal kicker. They haven't had him for 6 or 8 weeks or whatever it is, and I'm so much hotter on them now than I was.
What have they done in the
2
last
weeks
7
ago.
or 8 weeks? I think they've won nearly all of them, haven't they?
Yeah, they're on a hot streak.
They're flying.
I'd say, I say it every week. Coincides with Jack Viney's form too.
Yeah.
Jack
But-
Viney's, yeah.
But yeah, Bailey Fritsch, what did he kick 6 in the grand final? He's
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
about a 50 goal a year player.
I also saw someone with the All
He's
Australian squad trying to be like, they had a list of players like, tell me these guys have had a better year than Tim Taranto. And like 3 of them, you're like, yeah, probably got a case. And then they chucked Jack Viney's name in there. I was like, mate, Jack Viney.
I saw the Jack Viney name.
Please. Yes.
And there was one more name in there. I was like, huh?
yeah.
He's played a way better year.
Yeah.
So
Patrick
there was
Cripps
what-
was the surprising
Yeah,
one
Cripps
for me.
was a surprise.
So
Yeah, Cripps.
Carlton's MVP voting was Kerno, Wiedering and Chera. So the Carlton players didn't even think that Patrick Cripps was in their top 3.
We love Cripper.
Yeah.
But no
He has
way.
had a great year.
No way.
No way.
That was the bizarre one. And then Taranto missing, like,
That would be, if you take
he's
Cripps
not
out
in
and
your
put Taranto
team,
in,
he's
it's
in your
okay.
squad, right?
What's the line for Sam Taylor, though?
Yeah, well, they said it was 16. They used that last game as
Did
a
they
cop
say
out.
16, did
Well,
they?
no, but everyone.
apparently that's
16
the-
was buzzing around.
Yeah.
And then he missed that last
The word
one.
is that's like a hard cutoff.
Oh,
Like
really?
you have to
Oh,
play
right.
16, yeah.
Like the NBA do it now. They've got to cut off for all
Yeah,
stars.
I'll credit
to
Mark
avoid-
Reddings on Backchat for this, but he reckons that like it's if you don't play 16 games, you're ineligible.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ineligible. Maybe that might just be the cut.
a soft rule.
It might be, but yeah. No, because I reckon someone was in there with less. What did Ablett play the year he won the Brown?
That
or-
was he played 15,
Yeah.
and he was in. That was the lowest total in the Australia.
Was it? Yeah.
He's just the best fullback in the game by
Yeah.
so far now.
Yeah.
Like,
It couldn't have gone any better for Giants on the weekend, though.
No, it was lovely.
No risk for Sam Taylor.
Yeah.
Doesn't play.
Yeah.
Week off now. They win.
Two full weeks of
Yeah,
yeah,
they
you're
win.
right.
Interesting. Hopefully he comes back. But Bailey Fritsch,
is he, apart from maybe like a Dacos who is outside and they're waiting for him to come in, is he like the most important to a team And Sam Taylor's probably another one.
Sam
in
Taylor
the
would
final.
be.
Sam Taylor, but at least they got Buckley there, who's taken a step.
Doing
Who
a good
can
job.
cover
Buckley
it off.
be?
Yeah, he's
He could have
flying.
been one that could have been put in the All-Australian squad.
Yeah.
That's as a Maddie.
Yeah.
I love the they've now become that. Oh, you wouldn't want to play him in finals, GWS. Like
They
I'm
always are.
hopeful,
I
but
wouldn't
I'm
want,
not. Like,
I wouldn't want to play him.
well, no, but they're not. Odds are they're going to get bundled out.
Two players who are so underrated but rated now is Brett Daniels is a star.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Toby Bedford.
He stole the other one out of my
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's a whippet. He just
Oh.
he's everywhere.
And he couldn't get a game.
No, he ran. What was I watching? I think it was Toby Green speaking when he debuted, and it was like he did a piece to camera. He said, "Oh, I knew you meant business at the very first 2K time trial."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Bedford can run."
Yeah.
And you watch now, and he's got those repeat efforts. Like he's
going.
great
It's a
pressure.
completely different player. Him
Yeah.
and Bobby Hill are the two key forwards that look like they were probably going to peter out and then
Yeah.
found new clubs and just like
Mate,
whole new
Bedford's
players.
been a great pickup. You probably could put it down as one of the pickups of the year. And I say that you got to be careful because he's not earning
Yeah.
750,000.
But he's a bargain buyer.
A fantastic bargain buy,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sort of perfect, like horses for courses kind
Correct.
of pick. That's what, when Brent Daniels came back earlier in the year. I remember thinking this. There was one game he just came back from injury or something, and I watched it and I thought to myself, like, was he this good before the injury?
he was
Yeah, right.
not this good, but like
Good.
play 2 good games, do a hamstring, do an
Yeah.
ankle, and you're like, oh well, you don't see.
He had a good year. The year they played 2016 when they played the Dogs in the prelim.
Has he been there that long?
Yeah, he's been around ages.
How many games Brett
I'm
Daniels played?
almost 100% sure he played in that game and was really, really good around that time.
He used to just be like a small forward.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, but now he's.
Now he's up the ground and
On small forwards, a random one, I was at Essendon and Collingwood on Friday night. I've never been less engaged in a game of football. The real winner was Jack Ginnivan.
yeah, they put him in team of the week this week. Yeah.
He, has
Brings
just come
brings
along the last
energy.
few weeks and he could be a real factor having not been in the team for
Ooh.
most of the season.
What have you found?
Don't want to do it to you, Jacko.
Oh, no.
He wasn't there.
When did you make his debut?
It's 2018.
Just 2 years too early.
Played in the grand final though.
Picturing someone
He
else.
played in the granny.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's the
you're-
season I was thinking.
And I'm thinking of the Bulldogs small forward.
Clay
Smith.
Clay Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my top 3 favourite games, that prelim.
Yeah,
Giants,
yeah.
Bulldogs.
Remember COVID, Fox Footy did the best 50 games countdown?
Did they?
I think that came in third or
Was that when we
fourth.
thought the world was
Yeah.
ending?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just pretty
Had no
happy just
content.
watching these top 50 games of all time.
I'm going to die happy, man.
So that
My pop only got to number 3 before he got knocked over. That's really inappropriate.
the other one is was it
So you didn't catch
2011
the
St
Giants
Kilda
one.
Geelong?
He missed the
He missed the
Giants.
Giants.
My mum won't hear this. Thank God.
The Geelong St Kilda 2011, where they were both undefeated. coming
Yeah,
right around
Gardner.
15. That's
Yeah.
an unreal game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what else. There'd be other ones.
Number one, I think, was 89 grand final.
No, yeah,
I mean, that's 10 years before I was born, but
I've watched it. It's still,
I've seen
it doesn't
it,
look
yeah.
like it doesn't actually look like football. Like they're just trying to murder each
Kill
other,
each
and then
other.
occasionally a ball
Mark
bobbles out,
Yates off
someone
the back
kicks
of the
it.
square,
There's
yeah.
one passage where Johnny Platten laces out Jason Dunstall, runs through the middle, perfect kick onto Dunstall's tit, and it's like that's the only thing that in any way resembles
footy.
modern day football.
Yeah.
Is that one passage of play? Great to watch.
It was good footy.
It was
good days.
It was
They were good
entertaining.
days.
It was something between
Even the
professional wrestling and
2000s was good
football.
footy.
Yeah, it's just unreal.
Yeah, it's good footy.
can you believe we started this point with Bailey Fritz?
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
I
where
know.
we came, where
I
we
know.
started.
That's sick.
Also, remember when Cosy Pickett was going to kick like 60 goals first couple of weeks? He was
Before
unbelievable.
he did
deleted
the
Bailey
Elon
Smith's head.
Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bailey Smith hasn't been the same
No,
since.
this is true. Very concussion system.
Hawthorn
symptoms.
had to throw up the stumps at Bailey Smith. Just quickly before we fit, what would you spend on Bailey Smith?
You'd want it for... Oh, what would you spend or what would you ask for?
What would you-
400. He hasn't impressed me.
No,
this
you'd
year.
want more than that.
What would you
It'd be
give?
better market for him than that.
I'm thinking 700
Yeah.
and
700 for Bailey Smith.
People
he's
like,
only 22.
The ceiling there is...
I'm lower than that on him.
Why do you hate Bailey Smith?
I don't know. He just hasn't brought much this
Because
season.
he's
Yeah,
like
this
an
season,
absolute
They don't
rig.
know what his role. I mean, someone's going to
new environment.
someone's going to figure out what his role is, and he'll be a better player. But
Hawthorn supporter growing up as a kid.
I don't think you're coughing up 700.
Jeez, 700 is not.
Is this
Seven-
because... Jack, are you in a relationship?
No.
Well, this is why you hate him, clearly.
Oh, envy.
He was here in
No.
Perth for that like year.
He can have
He stuffed the market.
He can have his-
skewed
He
it.
stuffed the market
Yeah,
for
it was
everyone.
cotton
He's
on ads
absolutely
and-
skewed things for the entire Perth
He did
single male
he
population.
did dominate the Cottesloe Beach Hotel for about
He
3
did.
months.
I don't
didn't
think he
he
left that precinct for like 3 weeks. I saw a drive past with trying to get the daughter to sleep in the back, and
They
he
might
did it
need to put
every
a
day.
statue out
no
the front.
shirt.
That's it as well. He's playing good footy.
He was playing good footy, back then. Oh, we were hit the siren, aren't we? We're on to the next point. Well, let's do the outside the 8 power rankings. I saw Jared and Kingy did this earlier in the week, and I liked it. So, of the teams outside the 8, give me your 3 who you think are most likely to make a push to get in. So, I'll read them out first. Dogs, Crows, Bombers, Cats, Tigers, Dockers, Suns, Hawks, North, West Coast.
I've got mine. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go,
you
mate.
go first.
I'm in no particular order. Suns,
Yep.
Crows, and Dockers. Cats sniffing around. I don't think that.
Nah, Cats are dead.
I'm not sure that year is.
D-E-D.
If they can they just need a better year out of the Tom Atkins and
Dead.
Collar Jasneys
There
of the
you
world.
go.
They're
The fact that you're
max.
saying it's their season's coming down to Tom
Atkins,
Atkins
yeah.
and Collar Jasny.
I'm hot on Tom
Here we
Atkins.
come.
So who will play finals next year?
Who's your top
Most
3
likely.
most likely to sort of nudge on the 8?
I think the Bulldogs, I think Adelaide, and I think Hawthorn.
I was going to say, actually, if the Hawks finish 6, 7, 8 next year, I'm not falling off my chair.
No, I probably am.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a vibe.
I'm 1 year away from being right into them.
I've got a vibe.
Put Bailey Smith in there, though.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Who else are they?
I really
Liam
liked,
Henry's the other one.
I really liked Josh Weddle on the weekend.
Yeah.
Do we
He was
speak enough
super
about him?
He was super impressive. Like, he was all of their
What pick
outside
was he?
speed.
He was 30 odd, I
Yeah.
think.
Mate, built like an athlete, too.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of the lizard about him.
Little
Yeah.
lizard.
He goes.
A lot of lizard.
But their midfield's like red hot at the moment. They probably just need a depth guy in there. Like, their starting 3, like Warple,
Bailey
Newcomb,
Smith.
Day. Yeah, but he's not going to come in. He's still going to be your outside man.
No, he's in.
You want another inside man?
Playing him in.
I think you need one more
What
inside
about
man.
big Josh Ward? No, is that his name?
Josh Ward?
Josh Ward.
Don't know
Yeah,
about
Cam
big.
McKenzie, I suppose. Yeah.
Mackenzie.
I think I like Mackenzie more outside because his finishing's better.
Ward and Mackenzie on the wings.
Yeah, I like Ward
Shit,
inside.
they might win the flag next year.
Here they come. So, yeah, I'll go Adelaide. I probably won't put Hawthorn in there, but I said I wouldn't be falling off my chair. Adelaide. I don't know what the Dogs are going to do.
Do you like-
Dogs should win the flag. Dogs could finish.
Do you like that
fifth
this was
last.
his point, but he didn't
Yeah, I
think
didn't
about
think
it before
about
he
it,
came?
yeah.
No, I didn't at all.
I mean,
no.
there's no stress about it, mate. Just pick 2 teams, we'll move on.
All right, well, then I'll just go selfishly. Adelaide, Gold Coast, Fremantle.
It's not Gary
That's a
Ablett,
good
mate. It won't be
September
held
for me.
against you.
Blow the
Here we
hooter
go.
and get me out of this bloke.
Yeah, Gary Ablett. What did you say he was? Not even not top 3
don't
last 10
remember,
years
mate.
or something.
Their feedback was strong for that.
Well, you've got one more point to go.
No.
Don't you?
Simo.
Did you start?
And the AFLPA.
You started. This has been the Hardball Gets AFL show, proudly brought to you by the Mazda BT50 You Do Ute. We'll see you Thursday for the 2-minute warning over-unders revisited. Catch you then.